What's up guys, and welcome back. Today I'll be making a garage track. It's going to be super hard and aggressive, and this is a little snippet of what it'll sound like. As always, if you're interested in the project file and the stems of this entire track, you can download it in my community, which is linked down below. So the first thing we're going to do is set the BPM and then get a drum rhythm down. We're going to do 120 BPM here. Get a kick in. So we got this two-step rhythm on the kick here. Get a snare in on the 2 and 4. We're going to go up here and just enable the shuffle so we get a bit of swing. Get another snare layer in for the 4th beat. Sounds super raw. So we've got this live closed hat which sounds like this. And I'll play this on every offbeat here, as well as on every beat, just a bit lower in volume. Like that. Just loop that. Add this swung hat rhythm, which sounds like this. And with the track. Get a ride in on every beat. And then we can duplicate this over to make it a 16-bar loop. And for the second 8 bars, we got this open hat, which is just adding a bit more energy. Now I'm going to group these drums and process them. First we got a knock for some transient processing, some saturation, and a little bit of hard clipping. So now we're adding an RC20, and this is really just adding texture to that loop, as well as making it more cohesive. And then some SSQ to brighten the high end. Add a vinyl noise underneath all of that. But let's go to the synths now. So for my main lead sound, I've made this synth. And this is made in Polymer, which is the stock wavetable synth in Bitwig. It's not too fancy. All we've got is a marimba wavetable and then a sub-oscillator, which is a saw. And that sub-oscillator is adding some phase modulation to the marimba wavetable. There's a little bit of noise as well for the high end. We've got a low-pass filter, which is being modulated by the cutoff here, which you can see over here. And this is the envelope that's mapped to the filter. And here we got the volume envelope for the actual volume of the sound. But you can see some things are moving here, like the wavetable position of the marimba, as well as the decay on the ADSR here. And that's just coming from this modulation. As you can see over here, this is a LFO of some sort with the curves. You can just go here and search curves. And this LFO that I've designed looks like this. It's got a 0.73 Hertz. And I've mapped that to the wavetable position. So the wavetable position has a little bit of weird movement. Then we've also got this normal LFO, which is just a classic LFO. It's just a sine wave going up and down. And that's been mapped to the volume of the noise, the filter decay, as well as the volume decay. You can both hear that there's some random movement from the wavetable position, as well as some gradual opening and closing of the sound, which is from the filter and the noise, as well as the volume envelopes, of course. But I'm going to process it a bit further as well. Some decapitator for the distortion. We got this ping pong delay, and on the feedback alone, we've added this bit speak, so the delay feedback has some sort of bit crushing. You can kind of hear that crunch in the delay. Some echo boat for even more delay. Some saturation. And then this filter to cut out a bit of the high end. And lastly, an EQ to cut out the lows and some low mids. Now let's write a melody. This melody sounds really cool, but to give it some rhythm, I think I'm going to offset it just a little bit, like this. And then make this the right length. But I'm also going to pitch it up an octave so it sounds like this instead. I'm going to duplicate this over, but add a bit of variation in the second half. So I've added these notes on top, which are also offset a bit more to the right. Quickly gonna group that synth and add a sidechain on it. Looks like that, and then we'll set the input as the kick. Now it's time for bass. Just loaded up one of my Vital presets from my Vital sound bank, which is also linked down below. It sounds like this with the bass that I've just copied over from the melody. I've also added some decapitator on that, as well as an EQ that cuts out a bit of low mids and boosts some lows. Our master is redlining a lot though, so let's add an invisible limiter to stop that. But let's add some chords underneath as well. So I've copied over the sound from the main lead over to a new track and changed the lead into this progression so we can add these chords underneath. But we're also going to add some effects on this to change it up a little bit. Decapitator. Valhalla Supermassive with the preset Hollow Flanger. Makes it super wide and kind of changes the entire sound. This Shred Spread, which is just a widening plugin to make it a little bit wider. So we got that progression here, and let's just loop that over like that. Change the color maybe as well. Kind of like the chord sound alone though as well, so I'm going to move the melody over and actually first introduce it after 8 bars, and then we can just copy the drums over as well to the next section. I've added another one of my presets in with some reverb, and I'm using it as a stab at the end of every 2 bars like this. Added a string in for the next section for the ambience. I'll just move everything over so we have 8 bars for a little bit of an intro. I'm actually just going to duplicate the bass and then copy over that and then turn the volume down a little bit. And I'm also going to copy over the string to this section as well and turn down the volume. And then I'll copy over all the drums except for the kick, and we're going to process the drum bus a little bit more for the break. It may sound strange, but I've actually added a vocoder on top of the drums for this little section here. And I've automated that so it's only on in the break and not in the drop. And after the vocoder, I've added a little bit of reverb as well to drown it out, sort of. I'm just going to turn the volume of these down a bit as well, like that. And I'm doing that with shortcuts, which is why you can't see it. But you can see that the gain is down over here. So I also wanted some chords in the break, so I took over the chords here from the drop and added them onto this new patch. So this is also a polymer sound, but this is a bit softer. We got a sine wave that's been skewed and folded a little bit to add a bit more harmonics. We also got a tiny bit of noise, but no sub-oscillator. We got a low-pass filter that's also being modulated by the cutoff here, and then a kind of plucky ADSR. With the progression from the drop, it sounds like this. Sounds a little bit too dry though, especially for this really wet section, so we're going to add a reverb. And a low cut. We need some kind of pre-drop though, so we're going to cut out everything and then introduce the chord progression from the drop in the last section like that. I also want some kind of ambience though, so we're going to duplicate the polymer, remove the reverb, and then make an atmosphere out of this. First we add this EQ with both a high cut and a low cut, and then this convolution reverb which has this drone impulse. And then another Valhalla after that, but it's got almost 100% mix. It's really loud, so we'll bounce that out and then use it as audio. Make that blue, and then we'll delete this patch, and now we got this atmosphere in the background. And I'll actually pitch that up an octave like this. But this stretching mode isn't the best, so let's choose an LSD. Sounds pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this production idea. Hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you learned something, so let me know if you did in the comments. Again, if you want the project file, link down below. But I'll play this track through, and it'll be the end of the video. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.